No, if you can't cook or do laundry, your parents didn't fail you, you failed yourself. I'm so sick of people in their 20s complaining about how they don't know how to do the basic task of cooking. Like, most teens know how to do it. You're an adult, you can do it yourself. I get that not everyone is going to be a 5-star chef, but come on. Google a recipe and buy the ingredients at a store. You don't need to post to social media about how hard your life is because you couldn't be bothered to learn an everyday task. Actually, it's both. If your parents didn't teach you basic life skills, they failed you, and if you didn't try to teach yourself, you also failed yourself. My parents never taught me how to cook, so I turned to YouTube a few years ago, and now I can cook at least a few decent meals. If you can use YouTube, you can learn basic skills. Come help in the kitchen. I don't wanna. My parents failed me. Yes, you failed yourself, but I also think that if your parents never made you do your chores and taught you this basic shit, they didn't do their job either. Both are to blame. If your parents instilled a family culture of not doing things for yourself, then it's hard to get out of that mindset. But at the same time, if you are in that mindset, it's incumbent on you to get yourself out of it. Nurture, vs nature, is hard to shake and shouldn't be underestimated. #face with tears of joy. Is this a clap back at the other post? If your parents didn't teach you basic tasks and you have to turn to YouTube, to literal strangers on the internet, I think it is fair to say they failed you. I disagree. If the parents did a good job, they would make sure their kid knew the basics before moving out. You can't wait till they're 20-something and ready to move out. You have to start that process when you still have some authority over them. I understand there are exceptions. Single parents, for example, will struggle to have the time, but most cases I think they have some responsibility there. This is a great point. Self-sufficiency isn't something someone gives to you. It's something you develop as a human being. As adults, we must take responsibility for ourselves. No one cares, outside of your therapist, how your parents failed you. Your so does not want to have to teach you to be an adult and do laundry or cook or clean. In fact, these are things that will actively impact your ability to have long-term relationships that you can fix all by yourself. Take ownership of your own life. When you are raised by people who actively get in the way of learning things, they failed you. You're technically correct about what you're saying. You parents not teaching you isn't an excuse, but this isn't an either-or situation. An adult not learning is them failing themselves, but they would never be in that situation if their parents hadn't also failed them. All the people talk about Googling recipes. But the true skill at cooking, and living/budgeting, becomes visible when you can open the fridge, see what's inside, and create a meal without needing any recipe. A lot of people fail to realize that they have more control in their life than they actually think. It's easier to blame others, and in this case the parents, for their lack of skills. People need to assume responsibility and stop the victim mentality. Actually do something. You may fail, but that's how it goes. 20 years ago, food TV would actually teach you to cook instead of just showing low-budget reality TV. I learned to cook while studying to Hot Off the Grill with Bobby Flay and Cooking Live with Sarah Moulton. Some would agree. I do think that parents should teach their kid basic stuff like cleaning, cooking at least 3 different dishes. No, pasta and chicken/bacon/meat sauce aren't really 3 different dishes, and how to budget. My biggest pet peeve is those Instagrammers and YouTubers that kinda glorifies only buying food from a delivery service. I mean, sure, you have the fucking money. But average people most likely don't have the money to spend $50 to $100 a day on McCrap. People make a big deal about cooking. It's not hard at all. When my wife and I moved into a place together, we never really cooked much beside the basics, but all you have to do is watch a YouTube video or follow a recipe. Then after doing it 2 to 3 times, you remember what to do. You don't need to be a professional chef to cook. All you need is oil, onions, garlic, meat, salt, and pepper, and then some veggies/rice. After a while you start adding things, and then you become good enough to make a wide variety of food. I have to agree with Up. I wasn't taught laundry and cooking and stuff, I had to figure it out for myself. My partner bugs me because he blames the fact that he can't clean or take care of money and stuff on his mom. She had a cleaner in a couple of times a week. It bugs me cause my so has figured out how to do all sorts of other things for himself, so he is capable. Maybe. Just maybe, both should take the blame. I agree, but I also believe two things can be true at once. Did your parents fail you for not teaching you basic life skills? Yes. Did you then fail yourself by blaming your parents instead of learning by yourself? Yes. No one taught me to cook and do laundry. It's fucking easy as shit. This is why you should encourage your children to learn new things through their childhood and show them, within reason, they can do anything they put their mind to. How many kids grew up being told to never touch anything in the kitchen because they'll mess it up? Limiting beliefs are real and aren't going to magically disappear because of a YouTube video or a blog article. *your. How about both you and your parents failed you? Sure, it's part of a parent's responsibility to teach kids, and if your parents fail you, it's your job. If you end up not knowing, it's both your faults. I think there is a difference between my parents didn't teach me and I tried to teach myself and it always goes poorly, and I don't want to waste the money and potentially destroy something, and I'm lazy. Everyone seems to be lumping them in together when they shouldn't. My wife was never really taught to cook very much, and while she learned how to cook well enough to survive, she rarely makes anything good. Her shepherd's pie is awesome though. Everything is usually bland or burnt. Meanwhile, I have a natural inclination for cooking because mom taught me the basics. Hate baking though. I do most of it around the house, get signed up for potlucks, and whenever we have a family gathering, it's assumed I'm doing the cooking and everyone is excited. I'm moderately good when I put my mind to it. Her parents didn't teach her. She doesn't like to cook because it's an unfamiliar skill set, and she doesn't want to replace another pot or pan or risk burning down the house. Her parents failed her.